Hey, it's Michael, and I'm back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about whether you need life insurance for children, and I'll give you 3 reasons why you might want to consider it. And I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so like I said at the beginning of the video here, this video's about whether you need life insurance for children and my feelings on it. And I'm going to share with you 3 reasons why you might want to consider life insurance for children. Now, when I talk about children, I also kind of mean grandchildren here because a lot of grandparents are taking care of their grandchildren just like they're their children, or they're financially dependent on them. So I kind of use those interchangeably. Now, I get this question a lot because I work with employees all the time, and one of the options is they can pick up some life insurance for children. And so sometimes people say, well, I don't really feel like I need any life insurance for my children. Why would I need that? Or they might say, I just can't even think about that, or I don't want to jinx them. And all those are feelings that I can completely understand. I mean, I don't want to think about it either. But the bottom line is that, if the worst happens, it's still something that's a potential possibility. And I've worked with thousands and thousands and thousands of employees over the years, and I can tell you from experience that it does happen, and for the families that it happens to, it's still a challenging situation, and they really have shared with me why it's so important to have life insurance for kids. So let's get into these 3 reasons. So the first one is obviously if the worst happened and somebody dies, either because they had an illness or of an accident, you're still going to need to have money for a funeral. So funerals aren't cheap. Where I live, they're $10,000 to $15,000 for a funeral, and so that money's got to come from somewhere. And a lot of times, people just don't have that money. I remember when I worked at a bank, we used to have a loan program that was guaranteed by the funeral home to help people pay the funeral off in payments. So that's just crazy. And I know people a lot of times don't have the money because if you look at people it's happened to, you can find instances of this on like GoFundMe.com where people are trying to raise money because a child died and they didn't have the money and they're trying to pay for the funeral. And years ago, I remember, fundraisers for kids, or even, worst case, I remember seeing, little collection buckets kind of next to cash registers, when I bought gas, in the town that I lived in. So, it's unfortunately one of those things that if it does happen, you're still going to have to pay for a funeral. So it's important probably to have at least enough to take care of that if it happened. And the thing is, it's so cheap most of the time that chances are nothing's going to happen and you haven't spent hardly anything on the insurance. But if the worst happened, it's enough to take care of a funeral. So that's reason number 1, the primary reason. I could probably stop the video there, but there's a couple other reasons that I think are important. The second one is that if you have a child that has like a chronic condition like asthma or type 1 diabetes or some other medical condition that would make it difficult for them to get life insurance on their own down the road, if you run into the option to pick up life insurance where you don't have to go through any medical questions to pick it up, that's another instance where I would suggest that you go ahead and pick up some extra life insurance. I know in my case with my son, he's got type 1 diabetes, and I've had a couple guarantee issue opportunities to get life insurance for him, and I've taken advantage of it because now I know he's got that locked in and it won't be an issue down the road. Now, the third reason that I would consider picking up some life insurance on kids is, just to guarantee their insurability later. This kind of is, weaved into question number 2, but, my child wasn't born with a medical condition. He just kind of developed it over time. And so you can often guarantee somebody's insurability with a guaranteed insurability rider on a life insurance policy. Would give them opportunities to buy life insurance later without having to go through any underwriting, or by buying a certain amount while they're young that would be a sufficient amount as far as permanent life insurance that they could always keep. So those are probably the 3 reasons that I would consider doing it. For final expenses, because a guaranteed issue offer is available, and maybe because you can guarantee some of their insurability later on down the road. Now, a lot of times people buy life insurance for kids and grandkids, for college funding, those are strategies that can work, but, for just pure life insurance reasons, that's kind of beyond the scope of whether I would buy. That's not something I really think is, the primary reason you ought to buy life insurance. And maybe what you ought to do to save for college is just to kind of save the money in a separate place. Although there are some advantages to kind of putting extra money into life insurance because it kind of keeps it from the financial aid calculation. So but I'm not a big fan of that. The three reasons that I gave you are the primary ones I think you should consider when you're talking about life insurance for children or for grandchildren. So if you like my videos, I encourage you to subscribe. There's a little picture icon there that'll help you subscribe on YouTube. And if you like my videos, be sure and hit the like button. And if you got any comments on your feelings about this, just put them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to talk to you about these kinds of things. So I'll see you in the next video.